In this podcast episode, we want to introduce you to our BCEN friend, Marvin Delfin. Healthcare and nursing is oftentimes full of tough decisions and long shifts. It's important to find sources of encouragement and gratitude, which is exactly what Marvin will be bringing in this conversation. This episode is called Compassion is a Universal Language.
Hello, and welcome to the BCEN Friends podcast, where we hold interesting conversations about learning with a range of thought leaders, BCEN certification holders, and industry professionals. But most importantly, to create value and insight for you, our professional nurses across the emergency spectrum. We hope you find our discussions interesting, informative, sometimes funny, and sometimes serious, and always valuable. I'm Holly Briggs, a professional development specialist at BCEN, and one of your hosts for today. I'm joined by my co-host, Janie Shoemaker, CEO at BCEN. Hi, Janie.
Hello, Holly.
Thanks for being with us today. In this episode of BCEN and Friends, we have Marvin Delfin. Marvin is a nurse with a true love of education and travel, as evidenced by the number of professional accomplishments and passport stamps he's collected over the last 20 years. And you know what? Marvin isn't just collecting this knowledge for himself. He's giving it away to coworkers, professional colleagues, and patients to improve the lives of those around him. Janie, could you please introduce us to our BCEN friend, Marvin?
Oh, it'd be my pleasure, Holly. Marvin is an experienced nurse from Zamboanga, Philippines, with nearly 20 years of global experience in countries like the UAE, Brazil, the US. He holds 8 national nursing certifications and 2 master's degrees, demonstrating his commitment to continuous learning. Passionate about travel, Marvin has visited 54 countries and volunteered at prestigious events like the Olympic Games and World Cup. Currently, he serves as the Program Planning Committee Chair for AACN's NTI 2025 and works with the Daisy Award Foundation. Marvin has received numerous professional accolades, including ENA's 20 Under 40 Award for 2024 and AONL's Young Professional Voices for 2025. Marvin, welcome to the BCEN and Friends podcast. It is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Janie, and hey, Holly, and all the listeners of the BCN podcast. Hey, BCN friends, all certified nurses, all ER nurses. Hello, all the way here from San Francisco, California. And then I'm excited to be in this podcast for the first time. Thank you so much, Janie and Holly, for this opportunity.
We're so excited to talk to you, Marvin. You have a fascinating story and a fascinating career. And so we first would love for you to tell us how you got your start in nursing and then wound up in your current role at Stanford Healthcare.
Let's backtrack 20 years ago, actually. So to be honest, nursing was not even in the list of the degree courses I want to pursue after graduating high school. So I wanted to become a chemical engineer, a teacher, and a doctor. So those are my top 3 professions. But I guess fate brought me to nursing. So in the early 2000s, nursing was the most popular in-demand course in the Philippines. Like everyone, my cousins, my nieces, my nephews, they were all pursuing nursing. It was a trend, even your neighbors. Now, for them, it was a golden ticket to work abroad. So it was like a family stream in the Philippines that if you have a nurse, then definitely this particular nurse will go abroad. They can go to the Middle East, to London during that time, and even to the US. So with some pressures coming from friends and influence coming from my relatives, so I took up nursing and eventually fell in love with the profession. So aside from nursing, I am also a midwife and a clinical instructor when I was in the Philippines. Actually, my passion is really nursing education. So I was bringing students in the community, in the hospital, particularly the emergency department. So, but like I did that for almost like 6 to 7 years. But due to economic reasons, I have no choice but to go to the Middle East, particularly United Arab Emirates, in search for greener pastures. So in there, I stayed for 3 years, learning the culture, and I was amazed with the medical advancement. Then after that, I moved to the US in 2014 as an agency nurse in a rural town or a very small town in Texas. So I was there for 4 years. So while I was there, I was very active in helping the department as their magnet champion. In there, I had my first four certifications. And then I also persevered by finishing to my two master's degrees while juggling the demands of full-time work and volunteer. So in 2018, I transferred to California. I work at Stanford. I involved in a lot of unit-based committees. And as always, education is my passion. And as of this year, I am the newly promoted unit educator of my department. So I am very, very happy and realizing all these things that happened during the past years. I found again my purpose, especially in nursing education, and I'm enjoying every day of being a unit educator.
Wow. So we didn't even know that part. That's so
Yeah,
new.
of course. Let's keep everything
Congratulations.
interesting.
Well, that's just a natural role for you to take. And I will say that for our listeners, I had the opportunity to visit Marvin's hospital, and Marvin was there, of course, because he wrote the application for their National Certification Champion Award, which they won. And Marvin is so incredibly well liked and respected by everybody who works there. And he knows everybody who works there. You
Yeah.
can't walk down the hall with him because you don't get very far, because he stops to talk to everybody because he knows everybody. But you care about people so much, and you've helped so many people achieve goals. What a great position for you to be in. That's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's
Actually,
wonderful.
I was really encouraged since from I think when after a year at Stanford, they really encouraged me to be like in a management position already or be in an education role, but I was really shy to get those responsibilities. But when the management inspired me to like, hey, you've done a lot. I think it's about time for you to have more, like to take the risk and stay out from your comfort zone. And I think I'm realizing it right now that getting out from the comfort zone, which actually provides you more learning and more reach to help people. So I'm enjoying it.
Congratulations again. And this next question, I'm really just curious because, again, so you came from the Philippines, you spent some time in the UAE, Brazil, Qatar, like, so you've had a fair share of international nursing
Mhm.
experience. And now you've been in healthcare in the US, so you can offer a perspective that not many people have, and that is to talk about nursing practice and healthcare from the perspective of an international nurse and a US-based nurse. So really, my question is kind of what did you find or what have you found is the greatest challenge in international nursing as well as in the US healthcare? But then also, what have you found was just like commonalities between the two?
Okay. So for the past 10 years that I've been in the US, so I reflected the different challenges and the commonalities being here. So the first challenge that I faced was definitely the culture shock. So US is a country of many nations, different cultures, and interesting backgrounds and history. So also consider the advancement of emergency nursing, which includes all the state-of-the-art equipment, which makes, of course, our lives and the lives of our patient better, but it was a struggle for us, especially when we deal with the POCTs, the EMRs, and the different protocols. There's a lot. So, to be honest, I was grateful for being a traveler and working in the Middle East because I was exposed to a lot of like Western and Eastern cultures and then American providers. So I have an idea on what to expect. So it was not a really, really, really shock. But of course, like US is a country of many nations. So like, oh, this is a particular culture. Oh, I have to learn from it. I have to be sensitive for it. So that was really the first challenge. And then the second challenge is the language. To be honest, like when I was in high school, I almost failed my English. I almost failed my English. So, but I persevered because, like, number one, I'm dyslexic. I'm poor speller, to be honest with you. If you're going to ask me to spell the word tomorrow, give me like about 30 minutes and I will I will show you I will spell it to you, but I have difficulty. I'm dyslexic too. I remember also the times that I need to memorize a script, say for example, like before going to the room. So I need to like say, oh, how do I say it? Is it the right terms, the choice of words? So because like I remember a time that I was called to the office by my manager, like, hey Marvin, did you say this particular word? I said, was that wrong? I said, like, the way you say it, it was actually like not so good. So you need to be careful next time. So the jargons, the regional and the street expressions. So I need to learn and cope up with this one. So and worse, to be honest, in 2016 or 17, I developed a lot of like nasal allergies that led to like nasal polyps. So my voice is so muffled that no one can understand, even though I tried myself with the proper diction, intonation, accent, and all that. But like they keep on asking me, hey, can you repeat what you just said? Because like your voice, I can't actually understand. So during those time, I was a little bit, I felt inferior, or shall I say a little bit depressed, because like why can't people understand me? So after the surgery and after some vocalization, to be honest, karaoke actually helps. So if you can sing, the vocalization can actually really helps. So eventually, like constant practice and also binge watching American shows can actually help you improve your confidence. And aside from that, like when I had my master's degree, I was talking to my teachers, and then they were saying like I keep on asking feedback. I say, hey, how can I improve like the way I speak? How can I improve the way I present? So from that time, they gave me some points to help me like overcome this challenge. And aside from that, another challenge is actually respect of nursing autonomy. Now, I work in the Philippines where it, I feel that the nurse is actually very inferior than our medical providers. So during that time, we have to wait for doctors to see patient and put some orders. So we are too dependent of them. While here in the US, our profession and autonomy is well respected. So at first we were actually like, oh, am I stepping on someone else's shoe? So here, the nursing knowledge, the nursing assessment, they are being respected by our doctors. And we feel that we're not under them, but we work with them. So we use our voice to advocate for our patients and for this, especially for the sake of safety, quality, and collaboration. And I realized that my voice, my skill, and knowledge here in the US is valued, treated fairly, and the most important thing, with utmost respect. Now, another difference, I am on my fourth difference now. So the other difference includes career and opportunities, and so let's say it, compensation. So in here, as if the doors of opportunities are widely open for me to elevate my career to a higher level. In my previous workplaces, I we don't have these nursing certifications. We don't have clinical ladders. There are ways of nepotism. So here, I am so much grateful that I am here, well compensated, respected, and enjoying the different career opportunities that is before me. Now, what are the similarities between the US and to other countries? Now, the first similarities is that I believe that nursing is universal. It's a caring language that transcends across borders, and even a stranger can understand. So even though I was trained and educated in the humble nursing school in the Philippines, I believe that once you practice nursing, be it emergency or anywhere, it's the same caring principle, the same human kindness, the same connection and understanding and respect applies to everyone, regardless of their unique difference or whatever that makes them different from the others. Now, the second similarity, I know you might be you might be laughing with this. I realized that we all love food, and potluck can bring peace in the department. I remember when I first brought the world famous lumpia in my department during a potluck one busy night. So I remember that the department was extremely busy, but with the potluck, we were able to find time and eat the lumpia, catching up with each other, and everyone seems to be very happy and having some fun times despite of the busy emergency department. So every time that I always bring something to the potluck, Americans and other nationalities would love to eat We love to just sit and then just gather around. And again, potlucks can bring peace. So those are the similarities and the challenges that I face with all throughout these years as an international nurse. And now here, and actually I'm beyond grateful.
Wow. Well, Marvin, I love how you talked about kind of those challenges, things
Yeah.
that, made the transitioning between those two practices a little more difficult, things to overcome and learn from. And then also the similarities, I could not agree more. And I will say that jokingly, when I was working on the night shift, we
Yes.
used to jokingly say that it's as if the patients heard we were having a potluck because
Yeah.
it was like they knew that they should come in that night and and they were trying to be part of our potluck. They never brought a dish, so that was, that was a negative, but it's almost as if they heard like, oh, they're planning on having good food tonight. We should all come and hang out with them. But
Yeah.
for food is
Yep.
universal. Caring is universal. And I think there are some things that just no matter where you nurse, whether
Mhm.
that be in the US or
Mhm.
abroad, like there are just some things that are so unique to our
Yep.
profession that they don't
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, so I work in the Middle East, I work in Brazil for the Olympics, and I work for some medical missions, even though there's language barriers, like
Mhm.
cultural differences. So I realized that once your intention is to care, everyone can understand. So,
Absolutely.
What a great quote that is.
oh my
Once your
God.
intention is to care, everyone can understand.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Marvin. So I'm going to ask you now because you have multiple certifications. You have 2 advanced nursing degrees
Yeah.
and 8 nursing certifications. Those all are going to require you to do a lot of continuous learning, which is awesome. That's what we love to hear. So that's a big personal commitment
Mhm.
to get those, first of all, study for those, be successful with those. And now you have them, you have to maintain those. And that takes a lot of work. That's a big commitment as well. What motivated you to advance your knowledge with those 8 certifications and those graduate degrees? What was your motivation behind that?
Okay. Let's backtrack again, way back when I was in
Okay.
college. So when I was still studying nursing in college, so every time that I see, because our references were all from the United States, so every time I see an author, I said like, why is the author has more than a lot of letters after their name, like PhDC, NCCRN, and all that. So I told myself, maybe one day I can have some of those letters because, like, for me, I think, oh, it looks good. So when I arrived here in the US, I realized that those extra letters are not just there for aesthetics. So, but they're a symbol of commitment to learning, particularly patient safety, quality, and of course, clinical confidence. So when I was new here in the US, when I was in the rural town of Texas, I met 2 amazing nurse leaders who I considered my mentors. So they're the ones who influenced me for my first certification. So they actually did a class for me. Like we were 2 in the class. I was scared about nursing certification, knowing the pass rates. I mean, so they trained me and educated me, and during that time I was a very curious, like a first day nursing student. This is the thing that I remember from them, that once you became a nurse, the learning will never stop and you will not stop growing. So that's where my motivation from my first certification, and then like, oh, there's another one, so let's go with another one, and then go with another one. So during my time in Texas, I was their magnet champion. So I said, if Marvin can do it, so can I. So I was like, yeah. So I serve as their motivation, or like the push that they need in order for them to try on their certification. Because I told them like, if I am a foreign nurse was able to like pass this exam, so can you. So just give yourself some time, understand what really the concept is, and then this knowledge is not just for this particular term, it's forever. Because like once you learn it, you are validated with this knowledge, and the one who will benefit it the most is your patient. Now, aside from that, the other main motivation is I want to give back. I want to pay it forward. So as I always say, my passion is always education and teaching. And I hope one day I could go back to the Philippines and teach the next generation of nurses, like what I did before I came here to the US. So this motivation of why I love to learn and advance my career, I hope to impart knowledge and skills and the real professional attitude to the next generation of nurses who will probably take care of me and my family in the near future. Philippines has produced a lot of nurses, but we ran out of educators. So my other motivation is to pay it forward. So once I go back with all the validated knowledge, so I'll go there, teach them, and I hope I can inspire new nurses to care, with the good intention to care and altruism with the updated knowledge, with the correct skills, and most importantly, the right nurturing, caring attitude.
Well, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody articulate their why
Yeah,
better
that's
than you
my why.
just did.
That's my
Yeah,
why.
why you did all those things. That is
Yeah.
who could argue with any of those reasons that you said? And you know, one of the things I heard you say a couple of times is I want to be sure I can impart knowledge to others, and I want to help the newer generation of nurses learn. And I have to say, it was recently I saw a Facebook post where someone passed their CEN exam
Uh-huh.
and they had not been successful the first time. And they were specifically calling you out to say thank you for helping me and encouraging me to be able to take it
Yeah.
again after
Yeah.
failing the first time. And I couldn't have done it without you. So, you know, I just saw that, just
Yeah.
recently saw that. And it was obvious when we were at your hospital, there was a lot of that going on, Marvin. So that is
So,
just incredible.
so actually, during my spare time, I'm just like millennial who loves to be on the phone. So actually, I'm part of a group, an online group of moderators. We call our group Lafora. So this is a safe space for nurses, particularly
Mhm.
mostly Filipino nurses who wants to go to the US and who wants to acculturate as early as now to find out what are the things that we need to learn before stepping here in the US and fulfilling our American dreams. So in terms of certification, I'm there to serve as their resource person. So as much as possible, I'm trying to reach out and I try to give hope to those Filipino nurses, particularly, or internationally educated nurses that at first you won't succeed, then try again. And then I try to explain and give time to them that focus on the things that you feel that you're inefficient, or I mean that you have difficulties, because like I know in your exam, if you failed it, you will be receiving a report, and then you will find out there are the areas that you need to work hard on. So I'm giving them inspiration like, hey, if I can do it, so can you. So I know English is our first challenge, but if you will continue reading, learning, and don't hesitate to ask me questions in the future, because like I'm here to help you, because I was once like you before. I don't know anything, but thank God there are some mentors who helped me along the way. So it's one way of paying forward. And then so every other Sunday we do a what do you call like video seminar that we share our experiences here in the US in order for the internationally educated nurses can learn from us and help their transition from the Philippines or wherever they are to the US. So that's one way for me to pay it forward.
Marvin, you keep busy. That I can see,
Mm.
but I feel like it is not just the general busyness that probably most of us find ourselves with. I feel like you are intentional about your time and prioritizing things that you know are important, but also things that will leave a lasting legacy and a lasting impact. And I'm grateful to have this conversation with you, but I also know that, as Janie mentioned, the Stanford Healthcare team was awarded BCN's 2024 National Certification Champion for a large healthcare organization. And the reason I mention that is because you have been instrumental in many of the programs and the resources that have helped support nursing certification there, as well as the work you're doing with those international nurses. So, what advice would you give to someone who wants to help maybe motivate the other people around them to get certified, but maybe they lack the support that you currently have in your system. But what might be some helpful steps to grow certification? And you've been a champion for this for a while. So what if there was someone listening who said, man,
Oh.
Marvin is inspiring me. I think I want to help grow certification at my facility. What would you tell them? Like, here's some steps that I've done that have helped me, or what would you say?
Okay. So, first of all, I want to thank BCEN. Thank you, Janie, for recognizing our efforts in certification. And also, thanks to my coworker, Sue, for pushing us to apply. Actually, when she said, "Hey, Marvin, let's apply for this one." And I said, like, Sue, I think we are on a small scale. I said, no, we're on a large scale. I said, like, I'm not really sure about this, but we'll try. And with the support of the leadership team, thank you so much. Now, here are the things that I can say about the different strategies. They're all nurse driven. So in 2019, when I was part of the unit-based council for research and development, so I asked myself, like, why do I have only 60 plus nurses who are certified despite of a big unit? So I love research. So I talk to people and I ask them about, hey, just a simple chat, like, why you, I mean, you've been a nurse for quite some time. What's the reason why you're not taking certifications or climbing up the clinical ladder? So after the survey, I realized that I found out the different reasons. So one of which is lack of motivation. They just don't want it. And then fear of failure, the cost of the exam, the anxieties, and the lack of resources. So these are the very, very main reasons, the big chunk of reasons why they don't want to take the exam. So as I share my passion and I want to help the department, so we use different strategies to different types of people and the way they learn. So the first one that we did was the Testy Tuesday. So this is a fun question and answer strategy that was developed during the pandemic. So one staff nurse, her name was Debbie, so she's in charge for this one. She provides us with 5 to 10 questions with rationales related to certified CENs, CPEN, trauma, or other hot topics, which is very relatable through she's doing it through email blast. So to make it fun and more engaging, so Debbie provides snacks or some gifts for those who wanted to participate with this program. And then 2 years ago, I found the voucher program. So to answer the cost, to defray the cost and just to let them concentrate with their exam. So I think this is one of the best strategies that we found. So I want to thank BCEN for this program where it actually slice half or making the exam more affordable and more flexible, especially for our nurses. To be honest, I was able to release 260 vouchers as of date. So yeah, and I monitor them. I'm the liaison. So almost every other month, they will always request, "Hey Marvin, can you do another voucher program?" And then I help them with the reimbursement, especially with our facility. So because like our facility provides reimbursement to CE and examinations and any other related expenses to that. But I think the most important strategy that I employ was the peer rounding during our downtime, which is quite impossible in the emergency department. So I usually find time. So I find myself to round with my coworkers, just casual talk and sit down. Once I listen to them, like, what's the reason why they're not able to get certification? You will understand the fears and the anxiety and the hesitations why they don't want to take the certifications or climb up the technical ladder. So I realized that there's no one size fits all or a silver bullet that can actually answer or solve all the problems. So once you listen to them and then once you relate to them your story and then you motivate them and sometimes you pressure them like, hey, do you want to earn this amount within the next year? See, your investment is just time and a small amount of money. So that's my actually my spiel. So and they said like, oh, let me listen to your conversation, dear. So like, and then after that, they were encouraged. Oh, I see, I see. And then after that, they were encouraged. So again, sometimes we all need to listen to our coworkers. I mean, it's just they feel more valued when you talk to them and listen to their story. And then sometimes they just need someone to push them in order for them to realize that there's a lot of things that I can be more if you just listen to my story. And I always tell them that at first you don't succeed, try again. Again, once you have the CEN, no one will ask you how many times you took it. So within the past 5 years, so from 61 nurses who are certified, right now we are 174 certified nurses. We had two certified nurses last week. So I'm very, very happy with that. So it was really an enormous growth. And if they're happy, I'm like twice happy if they achieve it. And my department is happy as well. And sometimes we just need to listen to them and just push them a little bit in order for my nurses to take that giant leap of faith by believing in them, knowing that they can, and for sure they can.
Those are some powerful and honestly very tangible steps, like things that
Yeah.
people could actually wrap their
Mhm.
brain around, maybe embracing and getting started in their own department. And I will say, as someone who was a nurse almost 10 years before I sat for my first certification, and honestly, it was because no one had ever really talked to me about it before. And I know there's a whole lot of professional responsibility there that I probably missed in the first couple of years. But that being said, when someone said to me, I think you could do that, you should
Yeah.
probably give it a try, just having that thought put in front of me and almost like a challenge, and
Mhm.
having somebody say like, I think you can really do this, that's all I needed to kind of tip off the edge and get started. And I think for some people, when they hear kind of your story and they see where you're at and just have those little tidbits of belief and motivation and maybe a little bit of challenge there, you go from in the 60s to well over 100, almost 200 nurses. I mean, that's amazing, Marvin.
Yeah.
You have so much to be proud of. And it all started with just having good conversations and
Exactly.
understanding what's holding these nurses back, and then what can we
Exactly.
do to help them to get through those challenges. So amazing. And thank you for sharing all of that. We appreciate it.
I'm just going to add that, Marvin, you have put together probably the most impressive recognition wall I've ever seen before. So anyone listening to this and they say, how does Marvin recognize the nurses that are certified?
Yeah.
We're going to be dropping his social media
Yeah.
link later. So you just reach out to him, have him send you a photo.
Yeah.
It's better to see it in person, but the photo will give you a good
Yeah.
idea. He might have to snap 4 photos of it just because
Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah,
nurses that
that's
are
right.
certified, which is a great thing. So,
Yeah.
all right, Marvin,
Yeah.
tell us about a person or moment in your career that greatly impacted you. I have a feeling you probably have many, but I don't know if you got one you want to share.
Okay. So aside from my parents and my friends and whoever I met along the way, I mean, they're very influential in some ways that sometimes I can be a blessing to them or they can be a blessing to me. So I think right now, if I'm going to share one of the most influential person in my life, it would be one of my clinical instructors when I was in college. Because to be honest, I was struggling in college. So he shared me a lot of lessons, but there are the three things that actually stood out. So the first thing is like she said this in the entire class, like, guys, your life is a book. Write the best version of your life story. Again, you are the author. So I was like, oh wow. So I said like, if given the chance that my book will be placed in someone's library, I want my book to be full of adventures, learning, and full of optimism. So that's the thing that I want. Even though my life is not perfect, for as long as I am accountable on my life story, so I want something that people will learn from me. And then the second one that she said is that failure is not opposite of success. It is part of success. Sometimes you win the victor and sometimes you win the lessons. So that next time, faced with the same challenges, you will win the victor. So when she said that, again, I'm not a straight A student. I failed, even failed, I mean, one of the certification because I was not prepared. So I know it hurts because you invested time and effort and all that. But to be honest, failure is one thing that keeps you grounded, and I should not be ashamed of that because, like, it is not the opposite of winning, it is part of winning. So again, when she told me that, so if you fall, get up, brush up, move forward, again, bounce, or try again, stronger. And the last thing that she said when I was doing a lot of volunteer, she said, Marvin, be comfortable by being uncomfortable. I said, what do you mean by that? Like, those are a lot of words. They're the same. I said, like, no, like, always get out from your comfort zone. Being a nurse doesn't mean that you're only like within the four corners of the hospital or your unit or the department. Try to widen your horizon. That's why I love to volunteer. So I told myself, yeah, try to be a nurse in the Olympics. So I did that. And then let me try again to another Olympics. And then let me try again to the FIFA World Cup. I said, wow, so this is really different. And then when I tried to apply for the 20 under 40, let me apply. And then like, oh yes, I did it. So it's my time and the platform for me to share my story. Again, so I want to try everything with no regrets. So even though I might get it or I might not, still I will learn from it. And as what she said, that being a nurse is committed to continuous learning. The more you learn, you will realize that the less you know. That's why you try and learn even more so you can seize your moment. So those are the three impactful lessons that I learned from her. Hi, Mom Sarita. She's in Florida right now. I hope she's listening. You're one of the best medical surgical instructor that I had. I will never forget your lectures and also your life's lesson. That's why I am motivated with and guided with this three learning. So kudos to you and all the people that I met along the way. You gave me a lot of like pearls of wisdom as I can share it to other people too. So that's it.
Wow. Wow, she sounds like an amazing instructor. Like,
Yeah, she was like a mother
wow.
to us.
I want to go meet her right now. She sounds fantastic. Is she still teaching people?
She's actually an ICU nurse in Florida right now. She moved here to the United States in early 2000. So I met her and she said like, "Oh, Marvin, I'm so proud of you because like you're here already." I said, "Ma'am, you just don't know how you motivate me to come here." So
Wow, that's amazing. She sounds wonderful. Thank you for sharing that story.
I will say that one of the things that I often have to repeat to myself, and you basically said it, is that a comfort zone is a beautiful place,
Mhm.
but nothing ever grows there.
Exactly.
And
Nope.
so if you want to grow, you're going to have to move out of that
Wow.
beautiful comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you do that though. It sounds like that's kind of your motto and what you help share and motivate other people. So what a great answer and truly inspiring. And I get the fun part, as I always like to
Okay.
say, of asking rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
And really, they're just so we can get to know you a little bit better as a person outside of all of the work that you're doing in nursing. And I think we've already kind of gotten a glimpse at who you are as a person, but this will give us even more knowledge about your favorites. So, if there was a career like outside of healthcare, and now I know that you had your top three in the beginning, but is there one that you would, like to try? What would it be?
So, as what my friend was saying, like be careful what you wish for, so you might just get it. So at one point, I told myself, like, hey, my friend, I bet I'll be a model. My face will be printed in a magazine, and that will take the, I mean, they will do the photo shoot in Hollywood, and that happened in 2022. I was shocked. And so it was a scrub, famous scrub. So they contacted me and I became their ambassador. So I became their model for a day. And during that time, I was so happy. Like I was smiling all the time with all the photo shoots and all that. And then I keep it a secret as soon as my friends saw the brochure with my face on it to say, why? How come you didn't tell me that you are in this one? I said, surprise, guys, surprise. So yeah, most probably like a model or endorser, I guess.
For a model. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I you're a model, nerd, I mean, teacher. I mean,
I just try everything. Say try everything. No regrets. Try everything.
no regrets.
Yeah.
Try everything. That's
Manifest.
that's pretty
Manifest.
much what Marvin's doing, you guys. So whatever he decides next, he's gonna give it a whirl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, race car driver, astronaut, like whatever.
That's
If you
right.
have an opportunity, Marvin's basically
Yeah.
gonna say yes. So
Mhm.
I love that. Okay. We're gonna move into some of your favorites. Here we
Okay.
go. And it can be, again, this can be like kind of your all-time favorite, or it
Yeah.
can just be like something you're into right now. So, favorite book.
Oh, okay. It's Chicken Soup for the Nurse's Soul. Actually, I met the author during the, was it a magnet conference? So she gave me a book. So I read Chicken Soup for Nurse's Soul. So I love to hear the different stories about nurses and hopes and inspiration. So yeah, I actually read four books that includes the Teen Soul, the Mother's Soul, and of course the two volumes for the Nurse's Soul.
Oh, I love those short little
Yeah,
snippets that
short
give
snippets.
you,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like you said, stories. And I think that kind of even goes back to like why nurses enjoy hanging out with each other, whether that be in the break room over a very
Yeah.
hurried potluck or just hanging out outside of work. It's because we just swap stories. I feel like nurses are great storytellers, so we enjoy reading
Yep.
stories as well. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, favorite movie, TV show, or it can be a binge-worthy series because we are always interested in what we should be
Ooh,
watching.
okay. So, to be honest with you, my favorite movies include Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks, of course, Star Wars movie series. But if there's one TV show that I binge watch when I came here to America, don't judge me, please. Don't judge me. It was the Forensic Files. So I was watching Forensic Files from season one to season six within 2 days. So that was my 2 days off. I was there. I was so lazy that I ordered through Uber Eats, and then oh my God! And I learned a lot of things from there, especially like signs of trafficking, signs of abuse, something like that, so I can share. And my coworkers were saying, "Hey, Marvin, how come you know this one?" I said, like, "Oh, Forensic Files." Like, they explain everything at the end, and then like there were science involved. There were like it boggles your mind, and at the same time, you feel relieved, like, oh, your first guess was correct. So,
Mm.
yeah,
I really like some of those forensic files, like First 48.
yeah,
Um, I,
yeah,
I like a lot of those shows, and I will say that the longer you watch,
yes,
better you get at
yes,
figuring it out. So once you get past like the first season,
yeah,
you're they should just give you like a detective,
yeah, detective, like,
like an honorary pin or something after you've gone through all the
yeah,
seasons. They should just be like, hey, you can call in and give us a recommendation. If you're a detective listening to this, apologize. We simplified
yeah,
your life, as I'm sure most nurses would feel simplified. People when they watch those medical shows and they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, I know exactly what it is," and you're like, "I don't
Mm,
know."
nope.
But okay, favorite
Okay.
musical artist, or it can be a genre or just music you like to listen to.
So favorite musical artist includes Maroon 5 and Imagine Dragons. So yeah.
And both of those.
Yeah.
Lots of great albums between both of those, and
Yes.
also great concert artists.
Yes.
They
Yes.
play they play a good concert between the two
Yes.
of them. So great recommendations for your
Yeah.
favorites, Marvin. You've given us some to either go back to or move on to. So, all right, do you have a hobby, or maybe it's like a self-care go-to, something that you do outside of all the things that you're doing that really helps you reset?
Okay. So to be honest with you, traveling is one of my expensive hobby and at the same time my therapy. So actually I just came from Mexico 5 days ago, and then the week before that we were in Iceland. So when we were in Iceland, thank God that we actually like come back here, because the day after we left Iceland, we were actually in the Blue Lagoon. The volcano erupted. So I said, thank God that we are in the United States, because like when my friends messaged me like, hey Marvin, are you still in Iceland? Because the last photo that you posted that you were in Blue Lagoon swimming. I said like, no, I just arrived here in San Francisco. I said like, oh, thank God, because the volcano erupted. So I was like, oh my God. At first I was doing solo travels, and then I learned about different cultures. So now I am bringing my coworkers with me. So the past five travels that I had, my manager was telling me like, "Hey Marvin, you are the new travel agent." So so I try to plan out like, "Hey, these are the things that I wanted to visit," and then they will just chip in, pay, and then once we go there, so we're different types of traveler. One is just historic. A person who loves to be history. I love nature, and then the other one loves shopping. So as much as possible in my itinerary, there are different activities that would be historic, entertaining, nature, and the last day or a day before we fly, shopping. So shopping. So that's my therapy. And every 3 months, as much as possible, I go out of the country or out of state. This is to help me disconnect and reconnect. And then we feel refreshed and energized once we go back. And actually, it's a good conversation started. Like, hey, Marvin, where have you been? Like, I saw it in your Facebook. And then, like, oh, these are the tips and tricks on how you can get like a cheaper ticket, go to this particular site or this venue or different hotel. So it's actually like helping my coworkers. Like, ER is already busy in itself. So we try
Mhm.
to decongest by traveling. Again, although it's expensive, but it's worth it.
Mm. It just gives me another side to Marvin. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think it must help your coworkers realize that he's not just
Yeah.
all in nursing all the time and just, that's all he does. No, you're way more than that. And
Yeah.
I think sharing those experiences and bringing other people into those experiences
Yes.
allows them to deepen a connection, and it,
Yeah.
it creates those multiple layers of teamwork. That's how you create that cohesiveness
Yes. The
that people are
culture.
always looking for.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing all of that. If our audience would want to follow you online, what social media platforms are you on, or can they reach out to you on?
To our dear audience, wherever you are right now in the world, you can actually like follow me using my LinkedIn or my Facebook or Instagram. So feel free to follow me. Feel free to provide feedback or tips, especially with travels. And if you need help, especially on how to jumpstart your unit to have certification, just connect with me. Don't be afraid or don't be shy to connect with me. I'm excited to see you and meet you through those social media platforms.
And I'll post those links on our blog.
This was really fun.
This
Marvin, I want to thank you so
Oh,
much for
thank you.
joining BCEN and Friends today. We have learned a lot from you. I think there's a lot of things everyone can learn from you. I don't think there's anything you can't do. And I, like Holly said earlier, I'm really excited to see what you're going to do next.
Oh. Mhm.
And I remember sort of early in my career reading a book, and it's
Wow.
called The Go-Getter. And it's by Peter Kine. And so it's this young guy who's kind of trying to get the next leg up in his career. And he's given this impossible task really to do. It's all about how he perseveres, he's persistent, and he gets it done. And he's called the go-getter. And you remind me very much of that kind of person. You are a go-getter.
I am
And
again.
if you want to do something, or you see something that you feel like you could make happen, you are not going to let grass grow under your feet. You're going to do it. So we could have a different version, the
Yeah.
Marvin version of the go-getter. So thank you, Marvin, for being such a role model in the nursing profession and just as a great human being also. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you today. And I am sure that we will see and talk to you more as time goes on.
Thank you so much, Holly. Thank you so much, Janie.
Wow. I want to take this time to thank Marvin for joining us for this episode of BCEN and Friends. Thank you, Marvin, for sharing your experiences, your passion, and your global perspective with us. You've not only taken on the world in terms of professional challenges, but you've helped others reach for and achieve career milestones along the way. We truly appreciate you and all that you're doing. And to all of our listeners, we hope you will stay tuned with us as we continue with BCEN and Friends and bring you new, meaningful content and perspectives. If you have a suggestion for an episode, please email us at bcn@bcn.org. I'm Holly Briggs, here with Janie Shoemaker, and on behalf of the entire BCN team, we thank and celebrate you for all that you're doing as professional nurses across the emergency spectrum. Until next time, we are out.